Why successful men look invisible on dating apps. That is what we're going to cover today. Your first photo has about 3 seconds to be able to go through that first initial elimination round. If it does not pass that, you're done. So let's talk about this 3 second psychology breakdown. This is what women are actually doing on dating apps, specifically because they are just overwhelmed by so much abundance, right? So let's go ahead and just review this real quick. These are the actual results from a friend of mine. She was more than generous to share this and was even asking me what the hell is going on with most men on dating apps. As you guys can see right here, in the span of 4 days, she was able to accrue 5,777 likes. For the sake of just simplicity, let's just call it 6,000 likes in 4 days. And as you guys can see, these are just some of the initial photos that she's seen from these guys. And when I was getting to talk to her, I was asking her, wow, that's overwhelming. That is more than, a single man will see in their entire time being on one of these apps. Like, that is absurd. 5,777 likes. And I asked her, how are you going about, going through these profiles? Like, that is just an insane amount. I can't imagine you're giving a chance to every single guy that you see, right? And this is what she shared with me, and this is also what I've noticed as a pattern from my own experience on dating apps. But it was interesting to see kind of that behind the scenes and her opening that veil for us. So this is what she shared with me. Because she is in so much abundance, and she literally has no need to swipe if she didn't want to, she initially first looks at the profile photo, then is looking if it checks off, right? So, she checks out these profiles. If the profile looks interesting, she'll give it a chance. If she initially notices that, hey, this does not look interesting, I'm not about it, swipe left immediately. But if she sees that it does look interesting, she'll go through the profile. She'll look at the remainder of the photos. If a single one of those photos is just not cutting it, swipe left immediately. Then if that person passes the photo test, then she'll go ahead and look at the bio. If the bio has something that is disqualifying the man, immediately swipe left. Then she'll check for things like long-term relationships versus short-term. As you can imagine, most women are not looking for short-term relationships, or at least they're not. That is not what is being publicized or what they want to, see a guy put on their profile, right? So just a little hint for you guys. On your profiles, you are shooting yourself in the foot from being able to match more women by putting short-term. You want to have something along the lines of a long-term relationship. So what she was sharing with me is that if they put long-term relationship, they pass the test. If they put short-term, swipe left. Then any kind of info about you, right? And this is interesting. Obviously, this is a little bit more subjective to her, but it makes sense as well, right? So if guys included anything about video games, that was a no for her. If they showcased any kind of crazy party life where men were just being womanizers or anything like that, instant disqualification, right? And last but not least, she said description. This kind of references back to bio, but then also just any kind of odd thing on there that just completely lacked congruency, right? And what I mean by congruency is that if you had one photo where you're wearing a suit and then all of a sudden you have a completely different photo where your head is shaved, or just anything that lacked the image or presentation of yourself through and through, or any kind of information that completely caused women to just lose sight of who you're trying to showcase, right? So as you can see right here, this specific lady that shared this information with me was just disqualifying. That's all she's doing, and that is was done in a matter of seconds. So the first kind of presentation, the first thing that stood out to her was your profile photo, right? And that could be judged in milliseconds. So as you can imagine, she was just looking initially at this profile here, this other one here with Aldo, Parva, all these different individuals, and in a matter of milliseconds, she would already make her first decision based on just the profile photo. So just think about that for a second for all those successful guys out there who are crushing it on their day-to-day jobs, or who are just doing well and are trying to level up and know that they're investing a lot of time into themselves. Guys, you're not even getting a shot because your first photo is just completely disqualifying you, right? And that's what I want you to understand. Women have the upper hand when it comes to dating apps. As a matter of fact, 95% of women swipe left on dating apps. The other 5% that's left are women actually swiping right on you, which doesn't really put the odds in your favor, right? You have to stand out. And women are basically treating this like a job application, just like you would when you're trying to hire someone at work, or you're, vetting your next hire, or whatever it might be. Women are treating your profiles like your resume. If it checks off, if it makes sense, it looks congruent, it looks polished, it's showcasing things of a good candidate, then women will swipe right on you. But the moment that they spot something that is incongruent, that is disqualifying you, that's doesn't have that female gaze, as they call it, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit, women are going to swipe left on you, no questions asked. And what does that cause? That cause a lot less matches for you, and your pool of being able to contact women becomes smaller and smaller. And this is crazy to me to see that there's 5,777 likes, 6,000 likes in 4 days for a woman to just receive, when guys are struggling just to get 2 matches a week. Even if that's even that, I feel like from some of the conversations I have are pretty difficult for guys to do. So let's talk about the successful man's photo problem, right? This is actually one of the clients that I worked with. This is a little before and after. And one of the issues that I see actually pretty often is that guys opt for they figure, okay, it's my photos. The photos are the problem. So I need to get a professional photo shoot done. There's actually a client of mine. His name is Mark. I blurred out all the other information here. But, he figured, okay, the problems are the photos, right? My photos aren't good. They're just not showcasing me in the best light. But the problem in reality, even if you get a professional photo shoot done and you have higher resolution and the lighting is a little bit better, guys, it's never been about the higher quality photos. At the end of the day, when it comes to dating apps, it's all about just initial attraction. It's all about just the image, the story that's being told, that subconscious story that's being told. Now, the before is one of the photos of my client before working with me. This looks like a LinkedIn photo. Seems to be in some kind of office setting. I'm assuming he was trying to make it feel a little bit more professional, trying to showcase that professional side. Very polished. As a photographer, I can appreciate the lighting, the quality. I can tell there's like a light hitting from the side, and he's being, he's smiling, and the suit looks nice and all that. But guys, from an attraction standpoint, like what women are looking for, that the appeal is gone. It's not there. This is the same client, and these are photos that I took with him. Look at how much more candid this feels. I also went ahead and improved his overall image, right? There's just a certain aspect of it where he just looks more attractive, sexier. There's a story being told, like, where is he? He's having a fun time. He looks great. The outfit is on point. He's leveraging himself in the best way possible. And this is a gentleman who is in his early 50s, right? You're not cooked. You're not done for, even if you're older. You guys can still perform very well at any age range. It's just what things about you can we leverage for the photos, right? It's not about just taking professional photos with good lighting and a good high-end camera. It's about telling the story, and that's where guys really get it wrong a lot of the time, right? So here is a good example. What we're looking on the left is what I call like the LinkedIn photo, which is impressive. It's an impressive photo, like from a photography standpoint. And then on the right is what we have, the dating photo, which is attractive, tells a story, gets women's attention, right? Causes genuine desire in women to know, who is this man? Like, what kind of lifestyle is he living? Why does he look so handsome and polished and just attractive? Like, there's just something more, right? And that's the kind of impression and story that you want to tell throughout your photos. You don't want to tell the LinkedIn profile photo story. You can reserve that for when you're at work. You can reserve that for when you're actively on LinkedIn and you're showcasing that. But when it comes to dating photos, it's completely different. And that's what I want you guys to understand. It's not about the quality or the resolution of the photo. It's not about just hiring a photographer out there to just take higher end photos of you. It's about curating your image, who you are as a man, the way that you're going to showcase yourself, and the story that you're going to tell. These subtleties, any regular photographer out there is not going to be able to do that. And here's just a better example to be able to showcase what I'm talking about here, and why it's so important, especially the first profile photo being so important, because if women here are, completely swiping left on you based on the first impression, that first photo that they see of you, well, if you're leading with a LinkedIn photo, man, like that's not going to cut it. It's just not. You're going to have to lead with something much stronger, right? So whereas a regular photographer will just take higher resolution photos, what I do with my clients is, yes, we take higher resolution photos, and we make sure, obviously, my whole photography expertise is applied, but we make sure that we're taking the good photos, but also because of my understanding of female attraction and female gaze, as you guys have heard the term before, we apply that as we're taking the photos, as we're telling the story. The same thing applies here. Male image and style improvement. We have to do that. That's something that I do with all my clients. Photographers, regular photographers, don't do either of these right here. This takes a lot of specialty to be able to get right. So I improve my client's image and their style, and quote unquote looks maxing, right, is the word that we hear thrown around, because at the end of the day, you are the product. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. You're 100% the product. You are what is being sold in these photos. And if this is what you're selling, no one's going to want to buy. You got to sell this right here, the attractive, handsome man, where there's a level of mystery, there's a level of imagination, like, where's this guy at? He's got style, he knows about jewelry, right? There's a level of sex appeal. He's leveraging himself in such a way that he does stand out. This is what's going to draw in matches. This is what's going to draw in connections. This is going to draw in LinkedIn connections. There's a big difference there, and I want you guys to understand that. And a big part of what you guys are doing, some of you are already doing the professional shoots. Great, you're taking initiative, but the reason you're not really getting the result is because you're missing this piece. You're missing the combining the high-end photography with understanding true female attraction, female gaze, and improving overall your image and style to be able to look the part. You guys need to understand that things like age, height, weight, all these things matter for men, and you're going to be leveraged different from one guy to the next. The way that I would present someone that's 20-something years old, like early 20s, is very different than how I would present someone that's in their late 20s. Same thing, if you're in your 50s, I want to leverage a different kind of lifestyle, a different type of dress in you so that you can appeal to younger women, right? This is not going to draw in as many younger women as you think it might be, right? So these things are very, very important. Now, let's talk about the instant elimination triggers when it comes to profile photos, right? Because that's what we're focusing on. The first 3 milliseconds. We're not even talking seconds right now. We're talking about milliseconds. Women are going to completely swipe left on you and disregard you and disqualify you based on that initial photo. Now, I'm going to go through some photos that at some point or another I used, and it got me absolutely nowhere. First, because yes, the product was not good, like my image wasn't where it needed to be. And then second, I was making some very big mistakes. So what is one of the mistakes that you guys are making and that I see very often? You have boring generic photos that just blend into the crowd, right? If I go back to those examples, they don't stand out. I see a lot of guys with selfies, either taking it with their phone, or they're doing this kind of style selfie. They're boring, they're generic, they're bland, they just blend in with everything else. Like, you do not stand out. You just don't. You need something that's going to draw and catch attention. You need that winning photo. A tip for you guys as well, while I have your attention here, you want to be able to use as your first photo, ideally, a photo that is a portrait photo of you, where you are looking straight into the camera and have some kind of seductive or kind of sexy expression. And the reason for that is because that first photo is that initial impression that you're going to make with women. at the end of the day, if you do date this person, they're going to be interacting with your face. They don't want to interact with the profile side of your face. They want to interact with your face. They want to know what it would look like, to have you in front of them. Eye contact is super, super powerful, right? That's why when we say, even in business, when you're meeting someone for the first time, have a firm handshake and good eye contact. It leaves a very good impression. The same thing happens here with dating apps subconsciously with women, right? If you're not making eye contact, or if you're not giving that quote unquote firm handshake, you're losing their attention and they're moving on to the next. The first photo is very, very important. So just a little tip there. Second thing, you guys have very, very poor lighting in photos, angles, composition. Like, you're capturing angles of yourself that are just not highlighting you in the best way possible. And then you have very harsh lighting. Look at the very harsh lighting in this photo of me right here. This is some of the early stages of my own image improvement. Not exactly where I needed it to be, but very harsh lightings. I have like these raccoon eyes, and I'm capturing this like very unappealing side of my face. My cheeks are just being, looking a little bit wider than I want them to. I'm really not leveraging anything. Composition just isn't the greatest in this photo. So yeah, this is an instant disqualifier. If I even remotely use this as my first photo, I would not want to use this, period. Here's another one. A lot of you guys are just lacking visual interest or sex appeal. There's nothing like sexy about this. There's nothing about this that's attractive. Yeah, the smile isn't too bad. The skin's pretty good on the face, like in terms of like, my skin and whatnot. But guys, there's just nothing appealing or attractive that, speaks that I'm confident, or that I'm masculine, or that I can be a protector, or that I can be a provider in any kind of way, right? And I'm not just speaking about monetarily, but as if we're talking about just human nature, right? What is man's role? It's to quote unquote provide, to be that protector, right? I'm not speaking that. I have an R2D2 shirt on, and I have, the Disney castle behind me. I'm showcasing just a little bit of a bicep and muscle, but that's it, right? That's not going to draw in women's attention. They're looking for a man. They're not looking for a boy, right? And I see that happen very often. And I'm not saying that I don't like Star Wars, or I don't like any of that stuff. I'm just saying that that's not what I want to showcase up front, because it's an instant disqualifier. These are things that they can get to know about me once we actually match and we're actually on a date and we're getting to know each other slowly over time. But when it comes to initial presentation, this isn't it. Again, I have to reference this back to business. When you're meeting for someone at a professional level for the first time, you're dressing for the occasion. You're going to look the part. You're going to look like the man, the person that's competent, the person that's going to seal that deal. You're not going to show up with an R2D2 shirt, right? And the same way, if you're taking a girl on a date, you're not going to show up with an R2D2 shirt. You're going to show up nice, looking clean, looking sharp, right? And that's important. So you guys, some of you are just lacking visual interest, attractiveness, sex appeal in that initial photo, and that's shooting you in the foot. You can't be doing that. The other one, again, this is inherently not a bad photo. Lighting is better than most, but this is an old photo of me actually. And you just look like a complete nice guy, completely, someone that's in the friend zone. And as we know, that the nice guy doesn't do too well. So yeah, that is something that's really important for you guys to know. Again, going back to the sex appeal, am I showcasing sex appeal? Is there a little bit of edginess to me? Is there something more? This looks way too nice. This looks a little way too polished. Like I would, even me putting myself in a woman's position, I would not want to swipe left. Like I look like an average guy who's just going to get scrolled past, right? And again, this gentleman right here, which is me, has great intentions, has a good heart, has a lot to offer, but based on this single photo, I'm not able to showcase those things, or at least inherently, I'm not able to capture the attention to even get the chance to show that deeper part of myself. And this has probably happened to you very often, is that you guys are awesome individuals, awesome men who have been investing in themselves, growing yourself, growing your business, whatever it might be. And your photos, the way that you're positioning yourself, are shooting yourself in the foot. And you're not even getting a fair chance to connect with women. It's not because you're not quote unquote like attractive, or you don't have something going for you. It's because You just don't know how to tell a story right, and you don't know how to position yourself, and that happens over and over again. And again, I have to go back to you are the product. I think that should be like my tagline. You are the product, because you are. You are the product when it comes to dating apps, and you are what's being sold, right? Now, let's do a little bit of math. My background is actually in engineering. I really enjoy reverse engineering problems and just overall getting to the numbers, right? So this is Emma, attractive lady, right? We'll just use her for example, and we'll use the results of my friend who shared this information with me, right? So let's just say Emma here got 6,000 likes in 4 days, right? We said 95% of women swipe left, which means that the other 5% are women swiping right. All right? So if we're looking at the hard numbers here, 6,000 times 5%, that's 300. That means that out of the 6,000 likes that this woman received, she only swiped back and matched with 300 men. But you know what's the sad reality about this? Is that no woman in their sane mind is going to go through all 6,000. As a matter of fact, my friend who I spoke to, she told me she had only swiped and was exhausted by the end of it, going through 1,000 likes. That's the most she could do, and she was just like, man, this sucks. Like, where's my ROI, right? Because she was swiping more left than she was right. So the reality here is that women are actually, out of those 6,000, swiping only on 1,000, and that's if they're actually that committed to trying to find someone, right? 1,000 times 5%, that's 50 matches. Like, just think about that for a second, right? Out of 6,000 men, only a pool of 50 men actually made it. Or in this case, 1,000 men, only 50 made it. Now, my question to you are, do you believe truly that you are part of that 50 men? Chances are that you're not. And here's the deal. If you are not getting anywhere between 25 to 50 plus matches a week, then you're definitely not here in this range. What's a realistic number for men is to receive anywhere from 25 to 50 matches. Not likes, matches. Likes are kind of the cherry on top. Those can come in and out. But actual matches across multiple dating apps or a single dating app, if you have a winning one for yourself, you're not in here. You're just not. All right? From all the conversations that I have with men, most men are just getting just but a couple of likes and a few matches a week. Some are just not receiving any at all. Some are just struggling with the overall quality. And again, if you're struggling with quality of women that are being shown, it's because of your overall presentation. So here's the truth. Your competition, the guys who are actually crushing and are part of these 300 men, these 50 men, they're getting 25 to 50 plus matches a week. And who are those guys? Those are the guys that work with me. And I'm sure there are other guys out there who might not work with me, but can get similar results just based on, applying some of these similar principles. But the guys that work with me, they're getting 25 to 50 plus matches a week. But the thing is, like, again, it's not the photography, guys. It's the transformation, and that's what I work with my clients, and that's what I want you to do for yourself as well, right? This is me. Huge difference, left to right. Like, think about this for a second. The resolution, like a camera is a camera, right? The resolution is not that bad, but the story being told, the product has been improved. That is what's necessary for the dating apps, is the product. Everything else is the cherry on top. This is another one of my clients who's doing awesome for himself. Nick, this is how I received him on the left, and this is him on the right. Again, the product has been improved, right? Here are some other examples of other clients. Daniel, before, after, product improved. Henry, left, right, product improved. Jake, left, right, product improved. And then same thing here with Tito, left, right, product improved. You are the product, right? The photography and getting shots of you, that's kind of the also cherry on top. But if the product is no good and we're not tackling that, which is the root cause, then I'm sorry. That's why you're getting poor results. So these are impactful profiles. My guys are crushing because they got to the root of the problem. which is their actual image. It's the story being told. This story, unfortunately, doesn't have the best outcome. This story on the right has a much better outcome. And the same thing with myself. This guy right here on the left didn't have the best story in terms of success on dating apps and getting matches and, you know, attraction. Just didn't. The guy on the right, he's telling a different story, and he's on a different journey for sure. And that's what I want for you guys as well. I want you guys to have a successful story, a successful journey when it comes to dating apps. When people say that dating apps are dying and they're not getting results, it's because they're failing at this very, very crucial and foundational principle, is that you are the product, right? If the product is no good, the product won't sell. From a business standpoint, it makes complete sense, and it's the same thing applied when it comes to dating apps. So that being said, make sure to really pay close attention to that first photo and apply the principles that I just shared with you. And for the guys that are wanting to work with me, no, I do not take photos only. And yes, I have limited spots per quarter. So all these guys that I've worked with, they give 120%. I give 120% of myself. And for that reason, I do have limited spots. So if you are interested in working together, go ahead and book a call with me, strategy call, down below. But this is for guys who are only serious. I don't like wasting men's time, and I don't like them wasting my time. So if you're truly serious about having impactful results that are not just transformative on dating apps, but also in real life, right? Because when you transform yourself from this to this, from this to this, these are life-changing results that translate also into real world, not just dating apps. So if you're serious and you're committed and you are one of those individuals that are action takers, go ahead and book a call with me, and I would be happy to hear you out and have a conversation. See you guys in the next one.